Hey there, my name is Jasmyn, or you can call me Mama Jas for short. I am a single mother of 3, and today we are talking about natural delivery, singleton versus multiple. So if you are not familiar with my channel, I am a mom of a 3-year-old daughter named Kaylani and twin boys named Jazir and Kenji. I had all 3 of them naturally, and by natural I mean vaginal delivery. I had my daughter in 2019. She was born 8 weeks premature, and if you would like to watch how her journey went, then click the link above. So I was in the bed. It was really late at night, probably about like 3 a.m. or so in the morning, and I felt like I had peed on myself a little bit. So I immediately got up, went to the bathroom, sat down. I didn't realize at the time that my water had broke. I just thought maybe I had peed on myself. But then like once I made it to the bathroom, like more and more liquid was coming. But it was sort of like a stream. It wasn't just like a full bursting. So I told my child's father, hey, I think my water broke. And so, you know, I was really nonchalant about it. It didn't hurt or anything like that. So we went to the hospital, and in my mind, since I was only 32 weeks, well, at that point I was 31 weeks. Since I was only 31 weeks, I was like, oh, well, they can just stitch me back up and then like send me home. So I didn't bring anything with me other than, you know, my phone, my charger, just in case. Like, it took a little time, and that was literally it. No diaper bag, no nothing. Like, I didn't even know I was about to be having a baby. So we get to the doctor, and they're like, would you like to be wheelchaired over, or do you want to walk? Because like I had put on a pad because I didn't want to just be like leaking all over the place. And when we got to the hospital, like it was even starting to drip from the pad. Like the pad had filled up with the amniotic fluid, so I was leaking on the floor. And I'm like, well, I don't want to like walk and leave a trail. So I was like, you all can wheelchair, you can wheelchair me over. Still very super calm and whatnot. So they check me in, and you know, they do all that little stuff, and everybody's kind of like moving. Like, it wasn't urgent, so that's why I wasn't thinking like it was a big deal. So finally they get me back, and they test the fluid, and they're like, okay, yeah, your water has broke, so we're not able to send you back home. Sorry y'all, my camera died, so I had to change the battery out. But so yeah, they were like, we can't send you home. You're actually going to have a stay, and we are going to give you some medicine to slow down the labor because we do not want her to come out yet. And I wasn't dilated yet at all. Like, literally my water just broke. Fast forward, if you all want to hear more about my pregnancy stories, just let me know down in the comments, and I'll make another video telling you all about my pregnancy journey and how I knew I was in labor and all this other good stuff. But yeah, moving forward. So with her, I was very adamant that I didn't want to do an epidural because I had heard all these stories about like once you get it, like it messes up your back and you know, all this other stuff. So I was like, I don't want an epidural. And then I didn't want to take any like pain medications or anything like that. Like, with her being my first, I was like, well, I want to like fully experience everything. So I had like a chili, no, it wasn't a chili, I had a chicken quesadilla, and it was like super duper cheesy. And I kid you all not, I think that's what did it, because after I ate it, like, I threw up. And then later on that night, I had dilated to 5 centimeters, and they were like, okay, well, it's time for us to take you over to the delivery room because it should be any moment at this point. So they pulled me over to the delivery room, and y'all, it took forever. So they actually had to give me some Pitocin to speed things up because I stayed at 5 centimeters for hours. Like, we went over probably at like 11 o'clock at night, and by, I want to say like 8-10 o'clock, I was still just at 5 centimeters. So they were like, yeah, we're gonna give you Pitocin to speed things up along for you. And yeah, that's what they gave me, and it was the worst because like it made the contractions so much more painful in my opinion. My daughter arrived at like 1:16. It did hurt, especially the ring of fire. When the head is coming out, like there's like this burning sensation, like your lady parts are on fire. Like that's what it feels like. That part hurt, but once the head got through, honestly, it didn't hurt as bad anymore. It was more like a relief, kind of like when you're going number 2 and like it's finally out, you feel like a relief. Like that's the best way I can describe it. So I'm sorry if that's nasty for you all, but yeah, that was the best way to describe it. Now with the boys, totally different experience. It's funny because even though it's like I was pregnant before and I like had that experience, I still didn't put 2 and 2 together that, hey, you know, I'm in labor. So with the boys, they also came early. They came 7 weeks early, so they arrived at 33 weeks. I was laying in a bed. Again, I don't know what it is about like early morning, late night. So if you're pregnant, or if you're wanting to get pregnant, or you haven't experienced pregnancy yet, I don't know what it is, but like for me at least, that late night, early morning is when things happen for me. Please do not forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and if you haven't already, please hit that bell notification so that you are notified every single time I drop. So laying in bed and I couldn't fall asleep. Like I kept tossing and turning because like my back was hurting, and it was getting to a point where I'm like, this doesn't feel normal. So then I took out my phone and I put the timer on to time when I would feel what I thought were contractions, because like I didn't want to get anybody up in arms about Braxton Hicks, because I read a lot about Braxton Hicks and how they mimic contractions. So I was like, okay, let me pull out my timer and let me start like timing this out. So waves would come like every 5 minutes and it would last for maybe like 30 seconds to 45 seconds each. So I was like, okay, this could be Braxton Hicks, but they were getting more and more intense. I did a quick little Google search and I'm like, all right, how do you know the difference between Braxton Hicks and contractions? And one of them said like the main difference is Braxton Hicks, you usually will feel them in your stomach or your side area, but real contractions are usually felt in the back. And I was feeling them in my back. So I'm like, okay, this is the real deal. Now you all, mind you, with my daughter, my water broke first, and then I started to dilate, and it took days for me to dilate. So with the boys, since I was having the contractions and my water hadn't broke, I was like, okay, well, I can just go to the doctor, go to the hospital, and they can give me something to slow down the pregnancy or my labor like they did with my daughter. And since the water hasn't broke, I should be able to come back home. So y'all, again, I didn't take nothing with me but my phone and my charger, because I'm like, okay, it might take them a little while to look at me and check me out. So like no diaper bag, no nothing. So I get there, and y'all, I drove myself. My children's father was like, do you want me to drive you over? Like, come on, let's go. And I'm like, no, you stay here with Kay, because you know we had our daughter. I'm like, no, you stay here with Kay, and I'm gonna just drive myself, and since my water ain't broke, they probably just gonna send me home, so it's not a big deal. Y'all, I drove, probably the hospital was about 20 minutes away, and so by the time I got closer to the hospital, I'm like bouncing like this, because like I'm trying to like ride these waves of contractions. So I get there, and before I even go up, well, let me call my doctor just like to let her know that, like, you know. So I call my doctor and I'm like, hey, I think I'm having contractions right now. They're coming 5 minutes apart. They're lasting 30 to 45 seconds each, and I feel it in my back. I'm at the hospital right now, but I wanted to call you just to give you a heads up. And she was like, okay, perfect, just come on upstairs and I'll let them know that you're here. So she called them for me, like the hospital for me. So by the time I walked in, they were like, all right, here's your little band, and you just go up this way. And they're like, do you want us to wheel you up? And I'm like, no, I got it, like you know. And so I get up there, and it's probably like a little 5-minute wait, and they're a little bit more they're moving a little bit faster than they did. It's a totally different hospital, but they were moving a little bit faster and more urgent than when my water broke with my daughter. So I'm like, I hope I'm not about to have these kids. So yeah, they take me back into the room and take my history down, all this other stuff, and they check me and they're like, you're 5 centimeters dilated. And I'm like, what? I'm what? And they're like, yeah, you're not going home. More than likely these boys will be here by tonight. And y'all, I'm like, what the what? They're gonna be who and where? So y'all, yeah, they put me in the room. So I called my children's father, and I'm like, hey, so I'm 5 centimeters dilated. So they said that more than likely the boys are gonna be here tonight and I can't go home. So he gets it to where like one of his friends and his wife watch our daughter, and then he comes up to the hospital, and this was December 31st. So like I'm like, oh, okay, well, cool, I'll have them before the new year and we can put them on the taxes. So yeah, I'm laying around, and again I'm like, well, I did no epidural with my daughter, so I kind of know what it feels like. I know once the head comes out, it's not that bad, and contractions are really the worst part of it. So, and since I'm 5 centimeters already, more than likely they will be here before I know it. So no epidural. Mind y'all, I got there at probably like 5 a.m. So I'm thinking I'm gonna have these boys. You know, I'm gonna have them. Yeah, 3, 4 o'clock rolling around, and I'm still at 5 centimeters. So I'm like, I don't know how much longer of this I can take, because when you're in labor, if you didn't know, they don't let you eat. You can have jello or broth, water, ice chips, but you can't actually eat once you're in labor. I was so hungry, y'all. I couldn't go to sleep because the waves of contractions just kept coming. So finally came and checked me, and I was like, all right, if I'm not at 8 or 9, then I'm going to get an epidural. And I want to say I was probably at like 6.5 when it came and checked me at 7. So I was like, give me the epidural, please. So they gave me the epidural. I went to sleep, and when I woke up a little past 11, they came and they checked me, and they were like, oh good, okay, you're finally at 10, you're all the way there. And they were like, we're just finishing up a delivery now, and then we'll roll you over.
It's 11:36, December 31st, and I'm fully dilated. They said I can get moved over to the C-section room because that's what you have to deliver when you have twins. And I'm praying I'll be able to push them out before the new year starts, so we can get a tax write-off. If they don't push me over soon, I think I would just start pushing.
With multiples, just in case there's any complications and they need to quickly get the baby, then they put you in the C-section room. So I had to wait for them to finish up somebody else's C-section before they would take me over to that room. So I was looking at the clock, I'm like, okay, it's still not midnight yet. We can still make it for this tax bracket. They rolled me over at 11:50ish or so. It was like 11:55, and y'all, like, I really wanted to have them filed on my taxes this year, because money was already tight, and then adding 2 babies on, I said I need as much money as I can get. So y'all, I started pushing. I started pushing when they was rolling me like into the room. Started rolling me like secretly though, because I ain't want them to be like, you can't push. So I'm secretly trying to get there, and y'all, they taking their sweet little time getting me all set up. I missed it. It was already midnight by the time they got me all set up and put up together. And so they were like, okay, are you ready to push? I was like, I'm ready to push. And so y'all, it probably took like 2 pushes, if that, and Jazeer just shot out. And y'all, if y'all want to watch my delivery video, you can also check that out in the link above. It's called the twins first video, or first year with twins. So check that video out if you want to see the full delivery experience and their progression over the year, then you can check that out there. And then with Kenji, means feet first. So they had to maneuver him a little bit because apparently his arms were up behind his head like this. So yeah, they had to maneuver him out a little bit. But y'all, thank God for that epidural, because I just felt pressure. I didn't feel pain. It was more so like pressure of them maneuvering him out and like hands going all up in me. It was a lot. Just some tips on if you do want to have a natural delivery. Of course, everybody's body is different. There are times when there are things beyond your control that happens where you're unable to have a natural delivery, and a C-section is necessary. Like, it's medically necessary because of how urgent the baby needs to get out. Sometimes babies' heart rates are dropping, or they're not getting enough oxygen, or you know, there's different complications. So if you're unable to have a natural delivery, please do not beat yourself up. You carrying the baby, you having the baby, you having the blessing of experiencing that is a blessing in itself, because some women cannot get pregnant. Some women do not get to experience birth at all. So just the sheer fact that you were able to carry your baby and feel that baby in your tummy is a blessing enough. It doesn't make anybody better or more superior if they're able to deliver naturally. So I just want to put that out there. It's like breastfeeding or formula fed. Fed is best. As long as that baby is growing and is getting the nutrition that they need, that is what's important. But if you do aspire to have a natural delivery, here are just some things that I think helped me. Is during your pregnancy, please make sure that you're drinking as much water as possible. Please stay hydrated. And if you can, remember to take your prenatal vitamins. They really are important. And I try to eat as many fruits and vegetables as possible. I try my best to eat very clean. I did have my cravings. If you care to check out one of my craving videos, it's linked here, where I craved donuts like they were going out of style. But anyways, just make sure you're drinking your water. When it comes to the actual labor and delivery part of things, keep your room as peaceful and calm as you can. So whatever works for you. For me, I kept the lights dimmed or even off at some points where like it was just dark and calm. I didn't turn on any TVs or anything like that. Like, I didn't watch TV. And I played soft, calm music. No one could talk unless it was absolutely necessary, because I wanted to focus on what I was telling myself internally. And what I was telling myself internally was that my body got us this far, so I have to trust that my body knows what to do next. If my body was able to carry and nourish the babies as well as it did and got us to the point here where we're now about to meet these babies, I need to fully trust the process that my body knows how to get the baby out safely in the best way possible. Another thing I would tell myself is this has been going on for a century, and there are countless women before me who delivered babies successfully, and if they could do this way back in 800 BC then I can do it now, especially with all of the advanced medicines that we have and technology. And if it got dire, or if there was any moment where it was unsafe, then I had the support around me to step in. But for right now, I got it. Just let go of control and let my body do what my body was made to do. Something else that helped is thinking of the contractions as waves. So sometimes I would imagine that I was on a beach, and every time I felt a contraction, it was just a wave coming over my body. That's really my advice, is just stay as calm as possible. Have faith and trust that your body knows what it's doing. God created us in such a special, miraculous way that our bodies do things that we're not even aware of. Even right now, there are things going on in my body that my mind, my conscious mind, has no idea about. There's a cell right now that's breaking something down. I don't feel it, I don't see it, I don't know nothing about it, but it's happening. So just trust that your body will know what to do, and that you will be taken care of, and that all will work out how it should work out. If you all would like to know more about my deliveries, please leave it down in a comment below. Please do not forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and if you haven't already, please hit that bell notification so that you are notified every single time I drop. But in the meantime, in between time, let's continue to prosper properly as his property. Prospering property.